right, man. We're excited about our first Levee sessions. Blake and I have been talking about doing this for forever.
0001.
So Blake Cook, Tracy Good, we have the Levee Studios, and today we got our first guest, first show, Andrew Bellicomo and Jordan Whitfield, two very creative people. Blake, is there anything nice you'd like to say about these two before we even start?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like family. It's like family here. What's up, guys?
What's up?
Yeah, just for the audience, I guess, Andrew is our chief writer, director here at the Levee. Been here for 41 years.
That's
tomorrow.
Right. Going on 41 years.
Jordan's also been here forever. He's our chief editor. Both of these guys are extremely talented, so excited to have them on the show.
Papa bless.
Oh, please continue. No, thank you, Blake. I'm excited to be here.
So as long as you've been a part of the Levee Studios, you've been growing, we've been watching you change different things. Blake, you've got some questions for Andrew, but, I mean, it's really not a it's a free flow
I
thing,
wanted to start out with the first time that I saw Andrew. And we haven't really talked about this, but I didn't even meet him, but I saw him. I think we were playing a gig at the fairgrounds. I don't know what year this was, but you had to have been like
11.
13 or 12 or 13, yes.
You looked 7.
He started
And
11
you
when
were
he was 14.
doing this like one-act play about the Boston Tea Party.
Yeah, yeah.
What was going on there?
I used to do a lot of living history presentations. I'm a huge history buff.
That's what they're calling it now.
History
I'm
buff. And yeah, I used to do first-person presentations, all kind of historical characters from the colonial era.
What made you get into this?
Well, my family has always gone over to the coast for our family vacations, and there are a lot of historic sites over there, a lot of colonial history, and we would go and explore the museums and historic sites. That was just kind of what my family did, and as a kid, I saw all the costumes and the muskets and swords and cannons, and it was all just really exciting for me when I was 7, 8 years old, and it was just something that I really gravitated toward and had a lot of fun with.
No, a lot of that carries over to your writing today, because I see you at your desk a lot of times writing scripts with a quill pen.
It's a time-tested technique. It's really underrated these days. Yeah,
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true. So tell me about like this history. Do you still study history? Are you still into it? Are you doing one-act plays? What you got going on?
I am still into it for sure. I study it just sort of recreationally, kind of as an amateur. I read history books and watch videos about history, and I haven't been quite as active with the living history lately, just because I've been busy making videos, but it's something I do want to get back to pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, you've been with the Levee for years. I don't know
Yeah.
how many years, but years.
Yeah, I started in January of 2015 with my internship.
Wow.
So I guess what is that, about
Just
four
a
and a
little
half,
baby boy.
4.5 years now.
So
That's before you graduated high school, right? You started
Yeah, I
out
was a
as an
senior in
intern.
high school then. I was it was right before my 18th birthday that I started my internship. Yeah.
So, we have had the privilege of seeing you grow up into a young man.
Lad.
And honestly, you've become one of the best writers we know.
Oh,
Kind
thank
of
you.
under the radar, because we do so many projects here, and you really touch, pretty much every one of them, especially the video production projects. How many video production projects would you guesstimate that you've touched?
Today I was looking back, and we work in Dropbox Papers, the most recent iteration of templates and word processing software that we've used. And in the last 8 months that I've been working in there, I've made written 102 concepts. And so that's,
Wow.
4.5 years, probably 400 plus concepts.
And you're not just writing for us, too. You're freelance writing around. Tell us about some of that.
I do. I write for a number of publications here locally, and then some websites online. And it's articles. Whenever I get to explore some of my other interests, like history and the history of agriculture, and some artists in the area, that's a great way. It's a great outlet to explore some of that and to meet some cool people and to hone my craft as well.
Just went to Europe for a little while. Tell us briefly about that trip.
That's
Don't
so cool.
go down those paths too long. I'm kidding.
I could.
I'm
I
kidding.
could.
You
I could
can't.
spend the next 2 weeks talking about my 2 weeks in the United Kingdom. But yeah, I took a trip to Scotland and spent some time in England as well. And I don't know what it is. I've always been drawn to Scotland specifically, but the British Isles and, a lot of my colonial history ties back in with those places that I got to visit. It was incredible. I went to the Isle of Skye, I went to Culloden Moor battlefield, I went to Glasgow, and it was incredible. I can't wait to go back.
So, like, back on the writing side, how do you think that you have evolved? I mean, the writing style that you had 2 years ago is very different. Your process is different. Tell me about how your writing styles evolved, and also maybe a little bit about the process of writing and how that works. Because, I mean, what we want to do on this show is kind of uncover what people are doing successfully in the creative world, whatever that might be. And I think you have a lot inside of your head that really could help people out there that are either wanting to get into writing or have been in writing, could do a better job.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I guess firstly, kind of how it's evolved. Writing is one of those things where you do get better at it over time, but it is also a completely new challenge each time, like most creative things are. But, with writing, you're starting from a completely blank slate every time. And so you're kind of pulling something out of nothing, or at least it seems that way, or it can feel like that sometimes. It's not really that way. And I think the way to kind of get past that is to fill your head with all kind of references and to research all the resources that you have access to. I know with video writing specifically, it's really helped me to take in a lot of short form video content. And like on the video platform Vimeo website, I have 600-700 liked videos, and it's just this huge library of camera effects and shots and styles of video that I can pull from. And so that's helped me to kind of make that process a little bit more streamlined and start bringing in some more out-of-the-box stuff and continue to bring in out-of-the-box stuff. And that's one thing that, you're really good at helping me, when things start to get stale, telling me, okay, we need to shake it up, spice it up, make it fresh again. Because it is easy when you're the first person along the creative line to, if you lose that inspiration, the rest of the project is going to be uninspired. And so it really does feel like I have to create that initial spark of inspiration that carries through for the rest of the project.
Yeah, like we always talk about magic here, and there are formulas that we use. There are systems that we use. We're very systematic people, but at the end of the day, there's magic that you can't explain, and it probably has to do with like the people you're involved with, which really just brings over to Jordan. Jordan's been here also forever as well.
41 years.
41 years. He looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, in my old age.
But, I've known Jordan for a long time, even before he was with the Levee.
Way before.
But the day I knew that Jordan was coming on board, I knew that he had magic. He didn't have all the skills that he has today. He didn't have all the training that he has today, but he had magic. Wouldn't you say that?
Passion. Yeah, he's a drive to make everything better and to learn how to do stuff. That's cool. I'd rather rein somebody in than try to push them along. And Jordan is definitely an example of somebody who's just fired up all the time about learning a new skill.
Yeah, where'd the magic come from, you say?
My mom. No, I'm kidding.
I'd like to thank my mom.
She is magical.
No, honestly, her influence on my life. But really, what got me into video was watching music videos.
Like Beavis and Butthead, or?
No, like Coldplay, and like I could get into specifics, but
Nickelback,
like the whole Skrillex era and all that. And I just saw them like going on tour around the world, and I was like, I want to do that and make videos like that. So I started working here my senior year.
Yeah, and it goes deeper.
Yes.
Because you always seem to have this like competition with yourself, even with other people. It's friendly, but like when you see something better than what you've done, you
it
always, it makes you mad.
Yeah,
it should.
That's good.
And Like, where do you think that comes from? Like, I've got to get that good.
I've just always wanted to be the best at what I do. And I know everyone says that, but I just always want to strive to be better. And I feel like the influences and the people I surround myself with help me to get that. So those people are constantly pushing me. Like, obviously on Instagram, I follow a bunch of photographers. I'm always looking at what's the next thing I can do, what's the next best thing, all that. But yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like, tell me about, like, we have a process here of how we produce videos or whatever, but once it gets to your plate, like, describe that process, because there is an approach to it to actually have some sort of successful piece of art when the thing's done.
Yeah.
What's that process a little bit like, just in your head?
I'm borrowing a lot from Como, definitely. With the writing, I'm always checking his scripts, making sure that it looks like the video that he wanted. But, no.
You bring a lot of your own stuff to it as well. I mean, there's been so many times where, I've written a concept and something in the edit or something with the camera work is just a product of your own inspiration. And
I feel like y'all should
those are
hug.
magic.
Yeah.
Y'all should definitely hug. Yes.
Levee
Yeah,
Studios
zoom in
banner.
on that. Zoom in on that. Yeah, like, so tell me about the actual workflow process. Now we're getting into, like, software and, like, what am I going to do?
So I edit all my stuff in Premiere. You guys know this. Drag it in, cut it up, make it look good. I want to say, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, you're a musician, and that has a lot to do. An artist is an artist, right? But you're a creator, and you can take other people's creations and their dreams and make it better through the coloring process. And tell us about the rhythmic patterns that all editors know they just have. They should. I feel like they should. Explain that process.
You just kind of have a heartbeat almost, like when you're editing. You know what the cut's going to be like. If it's a documentary, it's going to be slower. If it's a commercial, it's going to be boom, boom, boom. Not necessarily, obviously, but
Because you've got to tell a whole story in 30 seconds.
yeah,
That's the fun part, and sometimes the tough part of our job.
yeah, that's definitely 30-second spots are like my bread and butter. I feel like that's, I don't know. I like being able to, like, tell a story in that short amount of time. I just think it's more convenient, and I like shorter stuff.
So back and forth. How does that work? You're a music producer as well. How do those two kind of go hand in hand? And talk to us about your music.
No,
Or don't.
no.
You can find me on TikTok.
Yes. TikTok Whitfield. No, I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, Whitfield. You can go look me up. But the two do kind of go hand in hand. Engineering, it's different. It's less structured than video, like audio engineering, I feel like. But I just like getting analytical. That's what I really like about videos. I like having the control and being the final piece of that puzzle. It gets to me, and I'm the last person who gets it, so I get to control.
You also function as a director of photography as well.
Mm.
And so is your job as the director. Sometimes you're lighting the shot and you're actually capturing it through the glass. You're shaping light and you're shaping sound.
Mhm.
That's a great combination. Well, I just guess I answered that question.
No, yeah, it is.
See, it's going back to about, like, your passion and what you want to do. And Tracy and I have been talking about desire, right? And you just got to want it, because all the technical stuff you can find. There's this great resource now called Google. You may have heard of it. And really, that's how we all live. We went to the school of Google and mentorship of people who were on Google. And very rarely do we run into people who went to some, crazy college that did X, Y, and Z. And a lot of times that can slow you down. But both of you guys seem to have this just desire to make it happen. And you fill in the rest of the gaps there with the technical stuff. So once you learn the technical side, like, let's say, of writing, right? You know how to do your template. You know what you're going to do when you sit down. Now you're free to let your mind wander. Like, do you sit there and just let the thoughts come to you, or how do you get inspired to make something happen?
Well, writing the videos specifically, I watch videos. I go to get inspired by other people's work. And Vimeo, YouTube, iSpot TV are all kind of the sites that I, kind of cycle through regularly. And I think it's taking in those other resources that then become your own, because I think nothing really creative is truly original. It's just a new combination of a bunch of influences that you've had over your entire life. But if I can find a video that just sparks that inspiration, then that'll be the momentum that kind of carries me through the rest of the writing process.
Yeah, I mean, we do at the Levee, like, we work for clients, and that at the end of the day is like, you want to make clients happy. Is that in your heads? I mean, are y'all thinking about the client satisfaction during that process, or is it all like, let me do my thing, and if the client's happy, they're happy. If they're not, either oh well, or we'll just kind of do it over again, which doesn't happen very often. So I'm curious to know, like, what's going on in your head concerning the client's point of view.
Yeah, all the time. I'm constantly thinking about the client. Like, what is their branding like? How does this video going to look? That all comes into play there.
Yeah. What about you, man?
I think that's something that is always on in my mind, and my process starts out with discovery information, and so that's all the information that needs to be communicated through the video. It's all the things that we have to share about the client, and so it all comes out of that. I think a lot of times the video is as good as the discovery information, and the more that the people that you're making the videos for, the more heart and soul and presence is behind the videos. And in a way, it's kind of like it's like you're making a gift for somebody, in a way. And I hope that the clients are always happy.
So it's important to know your audience.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Not just the people that you're producing it for, but the people that are going to see it and hopefully buy the products.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that seems to be part of the art, is knowing the audience first. So, like, both of you said that you're inspired by people. Jordan, we'll start with you. Like, give me your top 3.
Let me look it up.
Yeah, let me see.
Age of Google.
Put your Google history on the screen.
Well, we'll start with you, Andrew, while he's looking that up. Tell us about some of your inspirations.
My inspirations. Well, I tend to be, kind of gravitate to talk about my favorite writer-directors first. Legends like Quentin Tarantino and the Coen brothers. Just Tarantino specifically, the way he writes a dialogue scene, I mean, is incredible how he can hold your interest for 10, 15 minutes. Two people are just talking, and he understands suspense, and he understands, how to weave a joke in there and how to write intelligently into the character. The Coen brothers have just that kind of dark comedy, satirical style down really well, and I really like these kind of auteurs, these people who are the authors of their own films. Mm-hmm. They write it and then they carry their vision through the directing process. That's where I get my inspiration. But kind of in the world of books, I like the novelist Mario Puzo, who wrote The Godfather. I like him for The Godfather, and I like him for his earlier work. And his favorite book was The Fortunate Pilgrim. And I also, for kind of nonfiction, my favorite author is an author named Robert Macfarlane, and he's a nature writer from England. And just the way that he writes prose is incredible. It's beautiful, and I love natural places and the natural world. So,
would you feel comfortable sharing your favorite baseball player with us? I'm just kidding.
Name one. that guy.
Touchdown.
Okay.
So what you got, Jordan? Like inspiration stuff?
Definitely, I get a lot of inspiration from music when I'm editing. It all kind of goes back to that. But Tyler, the Creator, definitely. I don't know if y'all know who that is, but he's really good. He started his own business, lives in L.A., living the life. And then some of my photography inspirations are Kusangi, who followed me a while back. He's on.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it was really cool. He goes on tour with this band called Odessa, like all around the world.
Yeah.
And he's like their main video editor, and he does all their stage graphics and stuff.
Awesome.
So he hit me up. But yeah, that's just a couple. Yeah.
Also, you can follow Jordan on Unsplash, which I do. You put a
Yes.
lot of your stuff up there. Tell them about that.
Yes, I do. Unsplash it's basically like royalty-free stock photos, so you don't have to pay anything. And I hit about 72 million views this month.
All right.
on Unsplash. People contact me from all over the world. It's crazy.
That's very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, there's this kind of creative block that people run into. We work a lot. We put in a lot of hours. The War of Art, one of my favorite books. I would suggest that anybody go read that book. It's
Listen
amazing.
to it 4 times
Yeah.
since you told me about it.
No, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's about just getting it out there, putting out what's inside of your head.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all run into these blocks when you're writing or when you're editing? I mean, do you run into this? Does it just flow naturally? Do you have so much inspiration you just sit down and make it happen? How does that process work when you do run into a block?
Writer's block is a real thing. But again, what can kind of help you get out of that is by taking in more content. And also sometimes you just need to take a walk and get some fresh air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And move yourself away from it for a few minutes. I've been meditating for a while, and I try to keep fairly consistent with it. That sometimes helps just to kind of turn your mind off as best you can from it. But yeah, definitely, I would imagine every creative person gets blocked. I don't know about this guy. He's pretty much always working.
Well, he's always taking in
Monster.
content.
Yeah.
I think that you hit the nail on the head. Like, if Jordan is not like actively working, he's working by taking in some form of content, which probably doesn't feel like work. It's probably something you enjoy doing all the time. But I mean, if you caught Jordan at the mall, I don't know if you'd ever catch Jordan at the mall, but if you did, he's taking in either music or photography or doing photography or something else, and I think that really does help. That's a big one. One of my mentors told me one time, Bed Bath and Beyond, right? You get a block, either take a nap, take a cold shower, or go for a walk. Bed Bath and Beyond. It's kind of weird.
Speaking of the mall,
That's right.
let's stay on the
don't
mall
even think
theme
we
the
have
I
rest
go
of
to
the
Sbarro's myself. We'll talk about that later.
So, if someone just wanted to jump in today, Andrew, they wanted to jump in, they want to write, they want to direct, what would you suggest that they do? I think a lot of people now want to get into creative, probably more than ever. And maybe not in like our region, but I think globally people want to get into the creative world. What is the first step to take?
Well, there are a lot of different styles of writing, and so I feel like they all kind of have different paths in, because if you want to write commercials and short documentaries and the kind of stuff we do, then get on some of these sites like Vimeo and take in content and just start writing some. And I bet you if you write it, you can find the people like Jordan to help you bring it to life.
Your friends.
Just like leap and the net will appear. I would say that's one thing that I'm keep trying to tell myself about my kind of longer form content. Like, I'm working on a screenplay and longer stuff at home, and I'm trying to tell myself just go ahead and write it, and don't worry about the rest of the resources falling into place. There's a ton of great educational content like we've talked about. We live in the age of information, so there's Google, there's this great website, youtube.com. It's like amazing for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Masterclass is a cool thing to look into. I've been a member there, and they have a lot of great classes on writing and directing and acting and everything. And
This episode is brought to you by Masterclass.
But I would say specifically, if you want to write screenplays, if you want to write videos, or if you want to write for the screen, look up screenplays online and read screenplays. I didn't realize when I was younger that they were just all available online, that you could just Google pretty much any movie's screenplay and it's there. You can read it. And so that's really, really taught me, probably more than any one thing, was just reading other great screenwriters and reading the style that screenplays are written in.
What about you, Jordan? Next steps. I want to do that. A lot of people do this. They call every week. We get calls every week.
Yeah.
I want to get into editing. Well, send me some of your stuff.
no follow through. Yeah.
And
You
either
gotta
they,
follow through.
well, they may send the stuff and it's like so not good, even close,
Right.
that you need to go somewhere to get a little bit better. What would that next step be?
Oh my god. Just shoot. In my case, that's what I did. I've been shooting for 10 years. Oh god. 10 years. You just got to shoot, get out there, put your stuff out there, find a community. Mine was Unsplash. That's where I started 6 years ago. I started uploading. And now look at me. No, I'm playing. No, but really, you just got to surround yourself with good people. I've always been around creative people. I went to church. That's kind of how I found my niche. I'm sure, obviously, it's not for everyone, but you got to find a community who's going to support you.
And one thing I might add to that, kind of getting creative stuff done, is I think that with creative stuff, a lot of times the procrastination is rooted in fear. And I would say that, just go ahead and make something, be fearless about it. And just sometimes just knowing that it's fear that's holding you back can open that up. That's something that I've been practicing a little bit more just in my personal creativity as well.
Well, we have this permanent tattoo here at the Levee. It's create, learn, repeat. And that's what I keep thinking is every time we create something, how do we learn, how we repeat this process over and over again? And we've got a really cool product, and I think we're 10% there. Right. I think we have a really long ways to go. We all do. Tracy and I have probably been involved with thousands of projects, and every day, we learn from you guys, and we learn from the masters, and we learn from everybody else. And we just want to incorporate this stuff into the product to make it better and better and better. And it's just satisfying when that magic happens and when the thing lands inside of Dropbox version 1.0. It's like, wow, that was magical.
Right. And part of why we're doing this podcast is so that the Levee Studios becomes this curated idea of just good stuff, right? In the business world and the creative world, and we'll touch on some shows and how people just get better personally. But part of that, Blake and I have always said that surrounding yourselves with people who are better than you, you're absolutely right. And you two are great examples of that. We got a great staff of people that work here, and surrounding ourselves with people who are better at certain areas only makes everything better. So that's a cool way to look at it. The community gets better because everybody's okay to say, man, he's so much better at this, we can learn from him.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Matt Giles, old Gilly Pad over there.
Hey, wait.
Who
check
has
the
got-
cameras, bro.
Sorry. I just wanted to say as we land the plane that Tracy and I are not this much taller than Andrew and Jordan.
Definitely a chairs thing.
It's a chairs thing, and we'll make sure that we get the booster seats in the next episode. So,
Y'all join us next time.
love you guys.
Pussy.